I tell you, the most dangerous creation in the world, in any society, is the man with nothing to lose. You do not need 10 such men to change the world. One will do.
She's not doing it now, but one other thing that she's not doing as well, going back to, what's my man's name, Patrick Tyler in the comment section, she's also not openly stating, I'm a black woman, I'm a black woman, I'm a black woman, hear me roar. Ask yourself, why doesn't she say that? Have you ever heard Kamala Harris verbally state, I am a black woman? Have you ever heard her say it? Not what her ghostwriter wrote in her book. Have you heard her verbalize, I'm a black woman? I'm a black woman, and as the first black woman who did this, as the first black woman who did that. Does she say it?
No.
Or does the media say it? Does she say it, or do the black political elite say it? Does she say it, or does the Divine Nine Army say it? And she just goes along with it.
Yeah, she's quiet.
Okay.
She's watching them. Yeah, that's what y'all want to do for me? Okay.
Thank you so much.
A little bit.
My mother, who raised me and my sister, was a proud woman. She was a brown woman. She was a woman with a heavy accent.
And her mother, Shamla Gopalan, was also the biggest influence in Kamala Harris's life.
Her mother, Shamala, was the biggest influence on her life. I'm gonna let it play. I'm gonna let it run. This is gonna be one of the first times, and maybe the only time that I just let it run. Maybe.
And her mother, Shamla Gopalan, was also the biggest influence in Kamala Harris's life.
The answer is absolutely yes.
After the big announcement, Harris's sister wrote in a Twitter post, "You can't know who Kamala Harris is without knowing who our mother was." In 1958, a precocious 19-year-old Indian, Gopalan traveled thousands of miles from her home and family to pursue a doctorate in nutrition and endocrinology in America. She soon became an active civil rights crusader while studying at UC Berkeley.
But once she went there, she almost felt free. And she took part in politics. She used to bring a whole series of literature, leftist literature from Karl Popper's, he was a great philosopher.
In her
Excuse me? The influence in her family was crazy strong. I don't even know what the man said. No disrespect. I'm sure he's a nice guy. Heavy Indian accent. These are the people that she was raised around and that influenced her. I don't know what my man said. I'm going to have to run it back. I think that's her uncle or something like that. Maybe, I don't think it's her grandfather. I think that might be her uncle or something like that. Let's run it back again. I don't know what he said.
studying at UC Berkeley.
But once she went there, she almost felt free. And she took part in politics. She used to bring a whole series of literature, leftist literature from Karl Popper's, he was a great philosopher.
In her book, Harris says, "There is no title or honor on earth I'll treasure more than to say I am Shamla Gopalan Harris's daughter."
How come you don't honor being your father's daughter, who's supposed to be Jamaican? Why is that not one of the high... These people, they tell on themselves. Why don't you honor being your Jamaican father's daughter? No, the highest honor, her highest honor in her own autobiography, the highest honor was being the daughter of my Indian mother and the Indian influence that she placed upon my life. It's coming out of her own mouth and coming from CNN. It's not me telling you this. So when I state over and over again that Kamala Harris is an Indian woman raised by her Indian family and her Indian culture, that's not me making stuff up. It's not me being facetious. It's me saying what's factually true and correct.
He was a great philosopher.
In her book, Harris says, "There is no title or honor on earth I'll treasure more than to say I am Shamla Gopalan Harris's daughter." Harris's visits to India with her mother kept her connected to her roots. Her grandfather, who had strong views on humanitarian issues, worked closely with officials to reallocate refugees. Their conversations had a strong influence on her.
When does the African American influence come in? Outside of, maybe she had there was a black woman who babysitted her, and in the apartment below her there was like a Harriet Tubman and Malcolm X photo in it. But like outside of that, where does the African American influence come in? When does that come in at? When do we get to hear about this?
Mother, who had strong views on humanitarian issues, worked closely with officials to reallocate refugees. Their conversations had a strong influence on her.
Those walks along the beach in India really planted something in my mind and created a commitment in me before I even realized it that has led me to where I am today.
Those long walks on the beach in India is what led me to where I am today. Not the random black woman who babysitted me and had a picture of Harriet Tubman in her basement. These folks are wild. Let's listen to that again. Let's listen to her herself tell you out of her own mouth how strongly her Indian influence, her Indian heritage, and her Indian upbringing, how strong of an influence it had on who she is today, right? Not a Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth picture in the basement of some black woman's apartment that she knew.
Who had strong views on humanitarian issues, worked closely with officials to reallocate refugees. Their conversations had a strong influence on her.
Those walks along the beach in India really planted something in my mind and created a commitment in me before I even realized it. It has led me to where I am
In
today.
India.
Harris's maternal uncle,
Not in Africa.
Palan Balachandran, who lives in Delhi, tells us how the senator turns to her amma, which means mother in Tamil, for guidance even after her death.
I don't have to tell her, make your mother proud. She said, what are you telling me? Everything that I do, I ask myself, would Amma approve of this?
Kamla in Hindi means lotus flower and is an important symbol in Indian culture, rooted deep in the bottom of the river. Very similar to Harris's Indian identity, which she wears on her sleeve.
She wears it on her sleeve? Are you sure about that, CNN? Because she's not wearing her Indian heritage on her sleeve now.
Now she claims
She's not wearing her Indian upbringing on her sleeve now.
Now she claims
And please
to
hit the
be
like button if you haven't already. I mean, you guys always
Oh,
thirsty to hit the like button. I say it so much, but at YouTube,
quiet about it.
YouTube is playing. Ain't no way you start a screen with 140 people and only have 405 people in it.
Doesn't automatically mean that she is, and it definitely won't make it true than Taylor Swift and Beyonce.
Well, like, yeah, Kamala, or whatever her name is,
fake. As the state
Impossible exams, man.
Kamala Harris received from Michelle and Barack Obama endorsing her.
Man.
Kamala. Hi. Hey there.
You see, this is a definition of fake, you know. This is a definition
Hear you both.
of fake.
I can't have this phone call without
If this stuff is on
saying to
speaker,
my girl, Kamala, I am
why you
proud
got
of
it to
you.
your ears,
This
man?
is
What's
going
going
to
on?
be historic.
It's speaker, right?
Michelle and I
So I can hear that, hey, this is the
do everything we can
conversation.
to get you through this election and into the Oval Office.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so
Michelle,
speaker,
Brock, this means
why
so
you
much
got it
to
to your
me.
ears,
I am
man?
looking
Like,
forward to doing this with the two of you, Doug and I
people.
both. And
Disaster, this train wreck that no one can look away, this car crash caught on camera of what's only going to end up being an entirely awful tasting shit sandwich roasted over a flaming hot dumpster fire. But it's not just here in America, and it's not only in the White House, and it isn't simply a component
Just
of
look at that,
Kamala's
man. Just look at
campaign strategy. It's effectively taking over the world, like seen here at the opening ceremonies of the 2024 Olympics.
This is the person you want to vote for, right? To be your president.
All right, this is wild, y'all. I'm in the middle of editing this video.
Page that was changed about a couple days ago from what it once was, and I was just going to reference about 2 sentences only that highlighted her alleged African American influence, right, and her African American upbringing, allegedly, right? I go back to the page, and they updated it and changed it again, and they put all the extras on it this time. For those of you who have not been subscribed to my channel for any length of period of time, you might be a little bit confused about why I'm harping on this so much and why it's such a big deal to me. But for those of you who have been with me and have been following me on this journey as we've been going through her upbringing, how many times have we seen her Wikipedia page been updated and changed to oversell you on her alleged blackness? We've seen this happen so many times. They were overselling it over the last 4 years. About 2 days ago, they changed it. They removed all the overselling and then condensed her alleged African-American, influence to about 2 sentences. I go back, and here's what I see now. They expanded it. If you thought they were overselling her African-American influence and upbringing, allegedly before, they're really overselling it now. Look at this over here. I don't have time to go through all of it right now. That's why I said I'm going to have to do actually a separate stream about how they keep updating her Wikipedia page, right? But look at how badly they're reaching. I'm going to zoom in very close so you can read this with me. They are so desperate. They are reaching so desperately. This is how bad they're trying to prove and sell you on her blackness. Let me just read this here because it's ridiculous. Then we're going to get into everything. When Shyamala, I believe that's Kamala Harris's mother, when Kamala Harris's mother worked late at her lab, Kamala was cared by Regina Shelton, a black woman whose daycare center in the apartment below was decorated with pictures of Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth. I want you to understand how profoundly ridiculous that sentence was that I just read to you.
Yeah.
I'm so desperately trying to sell you on the idea that Kamala Harris is a black woman, she's an African-American woman, that I'm sitting here telling you, hey guys, she's black. Well, okay, why is that? She's black because what? Because there was a black woman that used to babysit her, and the apartment below her had pictures of Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth in it. What? She's black, trust me. Why? Because her next door neighbor had a photo of Martin Luther King in his house. What kind of logic is that?
Yeah, no,
how does that work?
Mad people.
She's black, trust me. She's black, trust me. Why? Because her school bus driver occasionally would wear a shirt with Malcolm X on it.
They're foolish. They don't fear God.
I don't want to belabor the point, but that's how desperately they are reaching and grasping for straws to prove someone's blackness. Once again, I don't have time to go through this Wikipedia page right now. They have updated it so many times over the course of the last 72 hours that I'm going to have to do a separate stream on this, right? But let's move on.
It's all fake.
That's what fake is.
And away from fake, that's what it looks like. Updating,
and I want to get back to actually what we all came here for, right?
Fear your God.
And what we all came here for was a CNN video. All of her family ties and relationship is with the Indian side of her family and her Indian heritage and her Indian culture. Kamala Harris is an Indian woman. It's a fact. That is a fact.
Kamala in Hindi means lotus.
Civil rights movement? Isn't that how the story goes? That's how they met, right? Because you know how apparently everybody marched with King on Washington and stuff. Isn't that how the story goes? So why is her father being omitted here? Why is once again we're seeing her Jamaican father
the so-called
nowhere in sight?
Jamaican father.
Just omitted.
It's not Jamaican.
They're just focused on the Indian aspect of how much she was influenced by her Indian culture, Indian family, Indian heritage that made her the woman she is today. This is the Wall Street Journal back in 2019. I have the list of these articles pinned in the live chat or pinned in the comment section after the stream is over. You can read it for yourself. Come over here. What is this? The Los Angeles Times.
That don't make them black. You make them
October 5th,
Jamaicans, but don't make them black.
The progressive Indian grandfather who inspired Kamala Harris.
Or your white
What about the progressive, just black anybody
go to
that
South
supposedly
Africa.
inspired Kamala Harris outside of their black babysitter that had a picture, you know, of, I don't know, of Frederick Douglass in her kitchen, right? Where is that at?